Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of your Shoegaze Sundays weekly update. If you're new to our show, please click subscribe as well as the little bell to get a notification of new programs. We drop these just about every week. Sometimes we have a little bit of a hiccup and go every other week. But in general, I'm here sharing new stuff with you as well as fun highlight shows. And this is episode 53. And it is the last week of June, so this is a Pride highlight show for you. So I did come across a lot of great new releases that I'm really excited to share with you, but I really wanted to take the time and highlight Pride Month. So those fun new picks are gonna have to wait, and I'm gonna have this specialty show for you. So I do recognize myself as a person on the LGBTQ spectrum. I do benefit from the fact that I have mostly heteronormative relationships. I don't know why it worked out that way. It just kind of always has. But I do identify as being on the bisexual spectrum. I am attracted to people regardless of their gender. So at first, of course, I thought that meant being bisexual, but as I've done more research and understood the difference between bi and pan, and even now I feel like I identify as an omnisexual, which means that I am attracted to multiple genders, but I do factor in a person's gender. It does have a little bit of bearing as far as what I'm attracted to. Pan really means that you don't necessarily see gender, so that doesn't necessarily fit me. As I stated, I do have preferences when it comes to men and women, and it does seem to be a factor in how I am attracted to people in my sexuality. So there's a whole lot of research out there. For some people, it's not necessary really to dig in and look at yourself in this manner. However, I thought if I am an advocate to ask people to be their own true selves, I wanted to do that research myself and actually come out and be open with the world as a whole as far as where I lie in that and how I identify. Now, I also want to take a minute to acknowledge my privilege because I've had mostly heteronormative relationships. I really haven't had to deal with anyone being punitive or judgmental because I identify as mostly being heteronormative when I'm not heterosexual, but I've had mostly heteronormative relationships. So I really try hard to factor in being non-gender specific when I'm on the job, when I'm dealing with people. It's one of those things that just shows sensitivity to those who are on the LGBTQIA plus spectrum. And really, there are so many facets there. It's so interesting. And again, we all deserve to just be loved for who we are as individuals. So the first artist I have to feature for you in this Pride edition of Shoegaze Sundays is Bradford Cox, who is a member of both Deerhunter and his solo project Atlas Sound. Bradford Cox is an open queer individual who has stated in several different interviews that he does lean towards identifying as being asexual. He is not very motivated by sexual types of relationships. So he had shared some of those quotes, if you want to look a little further, in Spin Magazine, as well as while speaking with Pitchfork Media. I'm a huge fan of both projects, but I think Deerhunter hits shoegaze a little harder. So here is the track, Helicopter by Deerhunter.
Take my hand and pray with me. My final days in company. And I pray always. Could you pray for us? We know he loves you the best. All these drugs they play on me in these terrible ways.
So the next artist I have featured for you, I have featured several times on my show before. I can't help it. I absolutely love the band and I love her. This is, of course, Jay Som. She has been interviewed several times and really is open about being a queer femme woman. She had even stated that just by being a queer femme Asian woman, it really speaks volumes for her people where that's stigmatized a lot. She didn't have anyone to identify with that or to see when she was younger. So again, visibility can be one of those things that's really important to people who are maybe struggling with their sexuality or the stigmas that can come from being an LGBTQ person. So without further ado, here is Lipstick Stains by Jay Song. So next up, I have a track from the almighty Airiel. This Is Permanent is a song that, number one, kicked off their newest album, Molten Young Lovers, with just huge gusto. While examining the lyrics a little bit, I do think it speaks about dealing with all of our day-to-day things and what we see, but still having some comfort and safety in the fact that we are supported and knowing that that support is permanent. So that might just be my interpretation. However, that is how I see it. I did also get a chance to reach out to Andrew Mara, who is the guitarist for Airiel. He's also involved in New Canyons, who is openly gay. He and his partner absolutely exhibit what I see as couple goals. They're cute, they're wonderful. So I have had the privilege to speak with both of them and love them both dearly. I asked him if he wanted to share a few statements for this special Pride edition, and he did have a few things that he wanted to say. So breaking down that brief conversation we had, he did want to state that I believe visibility is important. I've struggled with my sexuality for most of my life, and seeing other LGBTQ performers certainly helped. If I can help anyone in coming out, I would love to be that person. It seemed to be a world-ending notion at the time that I did it, but in reality, it made me closer to my friends and family. I probably wouldn't still be here if I hadn't have come out. Everything will be okay. So that is Andrew's message to anyone who is currently examining, currently struggling. It can be a really difficult thing to come to terms with, but people will love and support you. So without further ado, here's that momentous track by Airiel. So for your classic track this week, I had to select Breathing Fear by Kitchens of Distinction. Patrick Fitzgerald has really been an advocate and has wrote openly about his sexuality and experiences for a long time. The band wanted to release this track as a single, and the record company really wasn't comfortable due to some of its just clear conversation about what it means to be targeted and marginalized for who you are and who you love. This song is just so sweeping and beautiful. It's a great way to end our Pride edition of Shoegaze Sundays. Here is Breathing Fear by Kitchens of Distinction.
So full of hope that he can't sit still, even in the presence of strangers. He's
So that's our show for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I'm super excited to share lots of these great new releases that are popping up, some that kind of seemingly came out of nowhere. If you haven't checked out this new Hum album that was just released, whew, oh boy, I'm super excited. I got to actually sit down and decide which track I'm going to feature because they're all so good. Brief Candles, who are friends of mine who I've featured before, have new stuff out. I've done a little digging and have a little bit of a lesser known but amazing band that I'm really excited to share with you. So we're just going to keep it rolling. We're going to keep giving you all those great shoegaze and dream pop goodies. I think one of you had left me a comment last week saying, yes, show more vinyl, do a specific show on your vinyl collection. I've got that in the works, so I'll definitely be here with that in a couple weeks. Who knows, maybe it'll take me a couple months, but I'll definitely add that into my list of ideas. So, as always, thank you so much. Continue to love each other and shoegaze on.